Hello there, everyone. We welcome you to Brew Jackets. It's a fun Blue Jackets themed podcast. My name is Kevin, and joining me tonight is my co-host FD Duck. Also, as we always do, we always invite people on the show. They may or may not come. That's okay. There's always next time. But anyways, a lot of stuff going on in the Blue Jackets world. We have Zach WERENSKI playing for Team USA. We're going to talk about that. We have news on where the Blue Jackets are going to pick in the first round with their two first round draft picks this upcoming draft in June. It's pick 14 and 20, and we're going to talk about that. We have some player report cards. We're continuing that series. 3 more players: Dmitry Voronkov, Matthew Olivier, and Elvis Merzlikins. How did they do? We're going to tell you that grade. So we're going to talk about that. We got some a fun video to share and so much more. So welcome to the show, everyone.
Oh yeah, welcome in. Hope everyone has had a good start to their May here. Happy Mother's Day to anyone out there who may be a mother listening.
That's right.
I don't know if that's really our demographic, but I'm sure there's some of you out there. Happy Mother's Day to you.
That's right.
So, someone who didn't have a good start to their May, the Cleveland Monsters. Unfortunately, last Tuesday, the 6th, the Cleveland Monsters lost to the Laval Rockets 4-1, and which meant the Rockets clinched the series 4 games to 1 game against the Monsters. So that's an unfortunate thing that happened, but that does mean that Samuel Nasko was able to go play for Slovakia. And in the game, Jet Greaves stopped 32 of 36 shots. So some of the things I'm about to say are kind of reminiscent of the Columbus Blue Jackets as well. The Monsters only took 19 shots and made 1 of those. Early in the first period, they had 3 goals scored against them, and there was quite a lot of penalties in that first period. And they just couldn't kind of bring it down, bring it together, and strike back. So, I think we've heard that narrative a couple times before. So, it's a bummer that they weren't able to get as far in the playoffs, but they made it to the playoffs. That's always good. Anyway, so I mentioned Samuel Nasko being able to go play for Team Slovakia in the IIHF World Championship tournament right now. In his first game, he got 1 assist. He's got 1 game played so far. So just a little news for that. Our boys Kent Johnson and Adam Fantilli are playing for Team Canada. Canada is tied with Sweden for first in Group A. This morning, our time this morning, Kent Johnson scored twice in their win over Latvia, I believe. So they won 7-1. Canada did. So rooting for you, Canada. Kind of with they're I'm rooting for Kent Johnson and Fantilli anyway. All right, let's just say that. But it's really neat to see Kent Johnson score a goal and then Crosby's coming up to congratulate him. That's neat. Legend seeing it's the only way that they were gonna really play together. So and so I'll mention Team USA too, since we are from USA, and you said Zach WERENSKI is not gonna be playing with them. And I don't think he's played any games with them yet, but he'll be flying out there here before too terribly long, I think. So USA is tied with Germany in Group B for first, and I'll just so I mentioned Canada's tied with Sweden, but let me go over the goals for and goals against. So Canada has 11 goals for and 1 goal against. The United States has 11 goals for, no goals against. They only played 2 games, but that's still pretty impressive. Also, 11 goals in 2 games. I hope. And Germany has 10 goals for and 2 goals against. After that, kind of drops off. I think Sweden was like 9-3 or something like that, but they're still tied for first since they won their 2 games. The United States next plays Monday, May 12th at 10:20 a.m. So that's tomorrow morning if you're catching us live today. If you're listening to us tomorrow, sorry it already happened. Canada's next game is going to be Tuesday, the 13th at 2:20 p.m. Eastern as well. So there's a little double IHF Worlds update for you. Did you have anything that you add on to that about that? Because I got one more tiny thing here. Oh, tiny
The only
thing.
thing I think the only thing I would say is that I just think that it's cool to see a lot of these guys represent the Blue Jackets for the representative countries and get their name out there for the Blue Jackets. And this is meaningful hockey. This is playoff like experience that these guys are getting, and that's going to be so valuable down the road, not just now, but in the future that they can use for next season and beyond. And another thing to consider here is that Kent Johnson and Adam Fantilli, they're playing with guys like Sidney Crosby and Nathan McKinnon, the
Right.
best of the best. That is outstanding. That is awesome. That is a learning experience that you're probably not going to get again. So take that, run with that, and take what you can learn from them and use that to make yourself and your team better for next season and beyond. And it goes the other way too, because they can learn stuff from Kent Johnson and Adam Fantilli as well. So in the end, it works out both ways. So that's cool and great to see all these guys represent the Blue Jackets and play for their respective countries.
Right. I love seeing it. Yeah, like you said it best. I mean, because like take McKinn for example. He's been out of the playoffs for a couple of games now. Like their team, like at the Avalanche were knocked out. He's still second in most goals scored in the playoffs this year. Still, he's holding that spot even though he's not even in it. So it's rubbing elbows with the legends. Future legends. Because like even the teams who aren't like the traditionally Canada and U.S. are they're oftentimes top than like Sweden, Finland, and Germany. Germany now they're getting a lot better. And Czechia has been getting a lot better too. So that's the thing though, is like even the non-traditionally top hockey places have stacked teams. You got Patrice Bergeron's out there playing, Pasternak's playing. So really neat to see. I got two little things yet. I guess this one's not very little. This is a huge deal. So Johnny Gaudreau was named to the NHL quarter century team as a forward, and the Blue Jackets posted that earlier today. In the official graphic, he is wearing a Calgary Flames jersey, which I understand because if we were looking at the quarter century that in the quarter century he played, the majority of time was at Calgary.
Right.
Calgary. Yeah. I think I actually said Calvary. I was just thinking about Blue Jackets in the Union Blue, Calvary. Anyway,
yeah.
So that's very awesome that that he was. I don't know if he was voted in or selected or how he had got that, but pretty neat. And last thing I got. Oh, there you go. He's in the Blue Jackets jersey.
Yeah, that's the correct jersey. That's just us. We're biased though. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah. We're biased.
The correct one. So then the last thing I got is you can vote for Save of the Year. Once again, just to let you know, we're not affiliated with the Blue Jackets in any organization at all.
No.
But I just thought this is neat. I like what they're doing with this. So you can vote for Save of the Year at cbj.co/saves. And it's down to the final 2 saves. One is a save by Elvis Merzlikins, where he was able to get a nice like jump back, full split to the right, make a great save. on, was it Hughes? Was it Jack Hughes?
Oh, you shit. Yeah, so
Uh,
Jack Hughes. Um the play, it's back this past December. The Blue Jackets win that game 4-2. It's still a really good save by Elvis Merzlikins, but the reason why I don't think it's good as the other one, which is a save that Jet Greaves made, is that it's Jack Hughes. He's a left-handed shot, and he was a left-handed shot on the left side of the ice, and you can see that it was kind of an awkward angle for Jack Hughes to shoot it. Like if he's a right-handed shot on the left side, that's in. But because Jack Hughes is a left-handed shot on the left side of the ice, it's an awkward angle for him. It's kind of harder to shoot that. So that's why I'm still really good save by Elvis Merzlikins, but that's why I just don't think it's as good as the other one.
Yeah, the other one Greaves makes now, and also too, I don't even think that's actually Merzlikins' best save, but
No.
it's what was voted.
Yeah.
I believe like this is like how they got to the finalists here. So go check it out. Vote for whichever one you think is better. But personally, I'm with Kevin here on this. I think the Jet Greaves save is just phenomenal. Not to put Elvis down, that was a hard save to make. I would have made that save. It would have just gone in. But yeah, for real, the Greaves one just unreal. And who was shooting that? Was that against Ovi? Was that him going no, not today? Not scoring that record on me.
I'm not
They shut him out
sure.
that game. Anyway, because they beat the Capitals, and I'm pretty sure that they beat them that game. So, which
fuck it.
yeah, that's what I got. If you want to talk about some players,
yeah. Before I get to that, I would just like to throw this one up here, which is right here. So the top, who had the fastest shot for the Blue Jackets all season long? The answer to that question is Yegor Chinakhov. The Blue Jackets posted that, and I'm not surprised by that either, because the thing with Yegor Chinakhov is that when he shoots it, it's fast. Like even his wrist shots is just
his wrister is insane.
Yes.
Like, this probably wasn't even a slap shot. This was probably just him shooting.
Yes. Because the thing, when Yegor Chinakhov shoots the puck, even in his most just stereotypical shot, it's just fast. And it doesn't even look like he's putting a lot of effort into it. He's just shooting it. And it's just that fast.
I can see a comment under there from Jody and Moose, who I follow too. It says Sivo is a surprise. I'm surprised by that too. Sorry, continue talking about Chinakhov. I just happened to notice that.
Yeah, so that's just how it is. And when Yegor Chinakhov, he just shoots it, it's just fast. He doesn't even really have to put a lot of effort into it. It's just fast. And then last season, the 2023-2024 season, the goal that I'll always remember about him from that season is the Blue Jackets beat the Blues that day. And Chinakhov, this time was one of those days where it's just a slap shot and he just blows it right by the goalie. And it's like, oh, he's already really good at shooting the puck really fast when he doesn't put a lot of effort into it. Now, this is what it looks like when he actually puts a lot of effort into it and just slap shots the crap out of it. He just blows it by the goalie, no chance. It's like 100 plus miles an hour. Just like, okay, you're done. Have fun with that. You're not winning this one. So, Yegor Chinakhov, fastest shot this season for the Blue Jackets, 96.31 miles per hour, followed by Damon Severson, followed by Adam Fantilli, followed by Zach Werenensky, and followed by Denton Matejchuk.
A little surprised Werenensky is not higher up on here. I'm also surprised that Adam Fantilli this is what is amazing, because he's not into his full grown strength yet. You
Right.
know, it's just how it is. You know, once you get older, you just gain more muscle because you've been training more. You're for a lot longer time,
Right.
but yet his technique and I mean, he's a strong dude. You can see him holding guys off, like so he is very strong. But
Right.
then also his technique must just get him at 90, 95. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the next 2 years to be the top fastest shot too.
Right. So,
And yeah,
and again, Fantilli, I would put him in the same category of Chinikov in the sense that like when he just shoots it. Like he's not even like
seems nonchalant.
yes, he just seems nonchalant about it. He just shoots it, not and it's just that fast. So the really I mean, the one goal that really stands out in that regard is the goal he scored against the Islanders at New York, where he just skates the puck in the offensive zone and just nonchalantly just shoots it and just it's just that fast and he just blows it by the goalie. So that was
Like they're so good that it looks like they're not trying as hard.
right. Yes,
But
they
I'm
are.
about to take a dig at Line for this, but they don't move slow.
Yes.
They move with a purpose, like, in my opinion. I just
Yeah.
think that that's
Yeah. So, anyway, so
gotta
Yegor
stop that.
Chinikov, yeah, well, take that line. Anyways, anyways, Yegor Chinikov, the fastest shot for the Blue Jackets this season with 96.31 miles per hour. Now, we're now going to move on to the player report cards. The first one that we will be doing is Matthew Olivier. So, Matthew Olivier, he gets an A. Why does Matthew Olivier get an A? I'll tell you why Matthew Olivier gets an A. Offensively, he did way better than expected. He really stepped it up. You're not looking at Matthew Olivier as a guy that's going to score, goals. He's more of a,
He's not a
grinder.
20 goal scorer.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not thinking that. You are not thinking that. You look at Matthew Olivier like, okay, this guy's a grinder. This guy hustles. He's going to work his ass off. He's a good third line, fourth line guy. He's going to penalty kill. He's going to block shots. Tough SOB. He's going to fight. That's what you're looking at Matthew Olivier for. However, though, he did so much better offensively. He really stepped it up. 18 goals, 14 assists, 32 points. Just outstanding. He beat his career high of 5 goals and turned that into 18 goals. Just outstanding. This particular picture that we're using on the screen is from the Blue Jackets outdoor game when Matthew Olivier scored a goal, the third goal to make it 3-1. And that goal that he scored was basically a perfect example of a Matthew Olivier goal, which is there's a puck along the boards. It was a puck battle. Matthew Olivier just uses his toughness, his grit, his determination to just outwork that dude, get the puck, and then just jam it in the net. There was no way that Detroit was going to stop that. Matthew Olivier on that play was determined to get that goal, and he did. Matthew Olivier, another reason why he gets an A is that he really stepped it up and became an important part of the leadership group for the Blue Jackets this season. Multiple games this season, he wore the A on his jersey. And when you didn't have Boone Jenner and Eric Branson, two important players and two important leaders of the Blue Jackets leadership group that were out for a good chunk of the season, someone had to step up. That was Zach Werenensky, and Matthew Olivier also stepped up big time, and he's now an important leader of the Blue Jackets, and that was just great to see. And then, Matthew Olivier being Matthew Olivier, being the awesome fighter that he was an awesome fighter. He's always been a good fighter, but this season he really stepped it up to be an even better fighter. Every time he fought, he basically just kicked the crap out of some dude. It just got to the point to where it's other teams like, I don't want to fight that guy. Even there'd be times where Matthew Olivier, he would actively go out of his way to try and get in a fight and try and get something going. And other teams are like, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not doing that, because it's now gotten to a point to where Matthew Olivier is now seen as the best fighter in hockey. So that was cool to see. Yeah. And then, like I said before, he was a very good third line, fourth line guy for the Blue Jackets. Very reliable. You can count on him. You need someone to play third line, fourth line minutes. That's Matthew Olivier. You need someone to block shots. That's Matthew Olivier. You need someone to play penalty kill. That's Matthew Olivier. You need someone to play right in front of the net in the offensive zone to get some deflection, some, dirty, greasy goals right in front of the net to jam it in the net. Guess what? That's Matthew Olivier. And Matthew Olivier even earned some power play time this season. So overall, pretty good season for Matthew Olivier. So shout out to you, Matthew Olivier. You played really good, and you get an A.
Absolutely. And with a lot of these rankings, kind of what I'm basing my rankings off of personally is how much they improved. Because obviously the Blue Jackets didn't make the playoffs, and there's some people like we talk about, like it would have been A+ or something if they would have made the playoffs, because that would have just been the icing on the cake there for how well they played. But talking about Matthew Olivier, so the most games he'd ever played in a season before this season was 66. That was in the 2022-2023 season for the Blue Jackets. That was his first season with the Blue Jackets. And he got 5 goals and 10 assists for 15 points. In 66 games, not bad. Pretty decent. Now, he had a plus-minus of -20. We've talked about it a million times. It's not the greatest stat, but when it's an extreme stat, ooh, that's not going well. And 81 penalty minutes. Last season, 2023-24, he had 54 games played, 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points. He was a -4. He had 70 penalty minutes. He also had an insane amount of blocks and hits. Well, mostly hits. He had 163 hits. Season before that, 178. So this season, one of 4 players on the Blue Jackets who played a full 82-game season. WERENSKI played 81. But one of 4 that played all 82 games, which is the most he's ever played in his career. 18 goals, 14 assists for 32 points. That is 2 more points than double the highest points he's ever played. And in 82 games, 30 more than last season, he still only was a -4. That's fantastic. He had 139 penalty minutes, which was not the top in the league, but it was not far off. He had 17 of his goals were even strength, and he had 1 shorthanded goal when he was on the penalty kill. So love seeing that. 5 of his 18 goals, so that's like a third roughly of his goals, or like a quarter, were game-winning goals this season. So he shows up when it matters too. His time on ice is it's like double what it was last season. Like he literally almost had more, because his average time on ice went up from 11 minutes and 17 seconds to 14 minutes and 28 seconds. Now he wasn't just given that. Dean Evanston wasn't just like, oh yeah, I mean, this guy, we're just gonna play him for shits and giggles. No, he worked for that. I mean, he's not just a goon. He's not just out there, like just fighting people. In fact, I think he toned it down even a little bit this year. He did when he had to, but maybe it's because he played more games. And it just seemed like there was less fights because we saw him a lot more. And I love how Dean Evison what he was able to bring out of Matthew Olivier. Now, Olivier he's kind of a streaky player at times. Sometimes he can, but it's never negative. Like I never am like, oh shit, Matthew Olivier caught like, oh yeah, that goal was because of him or something he did. But it's not that he's not doing bad, it's that he's just not doing great. Like he's doing fine, totally fine, but he's just a little more invisible. But then he'd get these hot streaks, and he had some hot streaks last season. Not to mention he had 80 blocks, 306 hits. So those are just a couple stats to think about when we're talking about Matthew Olivier getting an A for this last season. He did rank 10th overall in points on the Blue Jackets with 32. And that's about it for my stats kind of stuff. Now for just the eye test, I thought Matthew Olivier did amazingly well this last season. And not even for Matthew Olivier. He did well. He did amazingly well for an NHL player. The fact that, like I said, the fact that he played 82 freaking games. Let's see who has the most hits on the team. Because like if it's not him. Yeah, it was him by a mile. He had 306 hits. Next to him was Zach Aston Reese with 179. Someone that plays that aggressive, that tough, playing an 82-game season, that's amazing. Because like oftentimes, guys that are putting it all out there like he does, they get hurt. And so it's great to see. That's great to see. Also, he had the 5th most blocks on the team, and he was a forward. So love seeing that from Matthew Olivier. So scary dude. I think that he would be one of the most least desirable players to want to fight in the NHL.
Yes.
I don't think of like the toughest other guy you can think of in the NHL, and you ask them, hey, who would you not want to fight? And I guarantee Matthew Olivier is very high up on that list for many of those guys, because I don't know that I've seen him I don't think I've seen him lose a fight. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. I'll never see him get tackled. Like he's generally the one bringing the other guy down with him. So, just love to see it. Love to see the improvement for Olivier. Can't wait to see what he's able to do, if he's able to replicate this or do even better next season.
That's right. All right, so on to the next player. The next player we're going to talk about is Elvis Merzlikins. And what grade does Elvis Merzlikins get? I'll tell you. Elvis Merzlikins gets a C, but it's a good C, not a bad C.
Oh, you froze. Oh, I heard. No, there you are. You're back. You're back.
All right, then. Elvis Merzlikins had 26 wins. So there's that. Don Waddell said it perfectly when asked about Elvis Merzlikins when talking to the Columbus media after the season, which is he won more than he lost, and for the most part, he basically played pretty good, which is true. So 26 wins for Elvis Merzlikins. Where Elvis Merzlikins, one of the big reasons where he really shined, he was 5-0 in the shootout. The Blue Jackets did not lose a game when he was starting if it went to a shootout. Did not lose. That is outstanding, because you're going to lose a game or two. If you keep going to shootouts, which the Blue Jackets did this season, you're going to lose one eventually. But that didn't happen when Elvis Merzlikins was in the net. If it went to a shootout, he didn't lose it. 5-0. It was great to see. And that's a big reason, just in general, why the Blue Jackets were where they were, because for the most part, Elvis Merzlikins played good. He played much better compared to last season. He really stepped it up. He earned the starting role, other than a few starts from Danil Tarasov here and there, and then Jet Greaves going on that heater towards the end of the season, he really started most of the season. And now we know that the only reason that Jet Greaves was starting all those games because, well, Elvis Merzlikins had a concussion that it was so bad to the point to where he couldn't even play. You have concussions where you're out for a game or two, but then you can get back in. They couldn't do that with Elvis Merzlikins. So that's the good. Overall, 26 wins, 5-0 in the shootout. Blue Jackets did not lose a game in the shootout when he played. And for the most part, he played good. And he's a big reason why the Blue Jackets did better than expected and were the last team get knocked out of the playoffs, to be fighting for a playoff spot on game 81 of game 82. Elvis Merzlikins is a big reason for that. However, though, why does it get bumped to a C? Because I said all these good things about Elvis Merzlikins, which is true, but it gets bumped to a C because of this. 892 save percentage. That's got to be better. When you look back at reasons why the Blue Jackets didn't get into the playoffs, is one of those is just, unfortunately, at times their defense let them down. And sometimes that's the defense in front of Elvis Merzlikins, or Danil Tarasov or Jet Greaves just hanging them out to dry and just basically not giving them a fair chance to stop a goal. And sometimes that's Elvis Merzlikins or Danil Tarasov or even Jet Greaves just giving up a goal that they shouldn't, but they do, unfortunately. So, that's got to be better. Another thing is when you're 3.18 goals against, that's just unacceptable. You can't have that. That has to be better. And again, it's the same thing with the save percentage. Not all of that is Elvis Merzlikins' fault, because there are times defense in front of you is playing terrible and then they hung you out to dry and you don't really have a chance to stop it. But then there are times where it is your fault. It is your fault. And one goal that really stands out to me, where that's a goal that Elvis Merzlikins has to have, is that in the game that the Blue Jackets beat the Canucks 7-6 in a shootout in Columbus, it's in the third period. The Blue Jackets are down 5-3. And the Blue Jackets score 2 goals to top. No, the Blue Jackets score 3 goals to make it 6-5. And there was so much positive energy and momentum that was built by that. And when they got the 6th goal, you could feel the momentum that the game was really starting to swing in the Blue Jackets' direction. And the crowd is going crazy. It's electric, and CBJ chants, and everyone's feeling good. And shortly after that, Elvis Merzlikins gives up an awful goal to make it 6-6 with just over 2 minutes to go. It was a squeaker. And it's just like, man, Elvis, I like you, man, but you got to stop that one there, because it was a squeaker. Vancouver gets the puck in the offensive zone, he shoots it, and Elvis Merzlikins stops some of it, and then it just squeaks through into the net. And you just, that was a killer right there, because you had just worked so hard. You're down 5-3, and then you just work so hard to get 3 goals to take the lead at 6-5, and then you let in a squeaker like that, and it just killed any sort of momentum that the Blue Jackets had at that point in the game. Now, eventually, the Blue Jackets win that game. It goes to a shootout. Blue Jackets win. Elvis Merzlikins goes like God mode on shootouts and stops Vancouver. Blue Jackets win. However, though, looking back on it, that's a game that could have been where you didn't have to go to a shootout if Merzlikins makes a stop there. Unfortunately, he didn't, but it is what it is. You don't like that he gave up that goal, but you are more okay with it because the Blue Jackets ended up winning that game. Like, if they don't win that game, you look back and like, damn, you should have had that. You'd be more upset. But because the Blue Jackets win that game, it's more acceptable. You don't like that he gave up the goal, but it's more acceptable. So 3.18 goals against, that has to be better. Yeah, that has to be better. You just can't keep doing that. And then, like I said before, he played much better compared to last season. He really did. He really stepped it up. For the most part, played pretty good. He earned the starting job. And there are games this season that the Blue Jackets win because of Elvis Merzlikins, where he really stepped it up. A couple games that stand out to me. The one against the Devils this past December, the Blue Jackets win 4-2, basically because of Elvis Merzlikins, because that was a game that wasn't a lot going on there for the Blue Jackets. They score 4 goals, which is good, but they probably don't win that game without Merzlikins, because there just was no effort defensively that game. It was just awful. The Devils just basically had their way for most of that game, and Merzlikins was just making save after save after save after save. And he kept him in the game to where it gave the Blue Jackets a chance to get their legs under them, get going, and then score some goals. Because that does not happen without Elvis Merzlikins. So that was a game where he really stepped it up, and the Blue Jackets win that game because of Elvis Merzlikins. The 5-0 in the shootout, those 5 games are where Elvis Merzlikins really stepped it up, because you get to a shootout, it's like, this is it. You need to win this. There is no more. You lose, you're done. You need your goalie to step up and make big saves. And that's what Elvis Merzlikins did. And then the outdoor game, the Blue Jackets outdoor game, Elvis Merzlikins is a big reason why they win that game. Detroit has 46 shots on goal. They only get 3. Probably should have had more. But Elvis Merzlikins, big saves that kept the Blue Jackets in the game, that allowed the Blue Jackets to settle in the game, get going, and then when the time was right, they scored goals on their chances. That's Merzlikins is a big reason why they win that game. There's other reasons too, that being that, Detroit's 5-on-5 play is awful, and the Blue Jackets are good at 5-on-5. If you're not good on 5-on-5, the Blue Jackets will expose that. Home power play is good for the Blue Jackets, and Detroit's power play, a penalty kill this year, was awful. So if you're bad, that's not good, and the Blue Jackets expose that. But a big reason why the Blue Jackets win that game is Elvis Merzlikins. So overall, that's where I'm at with Elvis Merzlikins. It's a C. Some moments where you look bad, but there's a lot of moments that you can point to that you were good, and you are a reason why the Blue Jackets are where they are right now, which is more competitive and fighting for a playoff spot for game 81 and game 82. So that's just me, and we'll get Hefty Duck in here.
Yeah. So I want to start out with just a couple of stats, both to be contrary and to support some of your arguments there, and give my own argument here too. I pretty much agree with the grade of a C. Just looking at improvement, it's he did slightly better in some ways. He had a better win-loss ratio. So that's when it comes down to it, more wins than losses is great. That's what we need. So this last season, Elvis Merzlikins played the second most games in a season that he's ever played, at 53 games. The most ever he played was in 21-22 when he was 27 years old. He played 59 games. This year, out of 53 games, he started 52 of them. He had 26 wins, 21 losses, 5 overtime losses or ties. So goals against went up a bit against him this year. Let me talk a little bit about save percentage and the league save percentage. So since 2015, 2016 season, 2014 and 2015, and 2015 and 2016 seasons had tied for the NHL save percentage of 9.915. Prior to this, it had been going up since 2006. So it went up and it peaked in 2015-16 at 0.915. Over the next, since in those last decade, the save percentage has gone from 913 to 912 to 910, 2 years in a row, not 908, 907, 904, 903, and finally this year it's at 900 even. So that means it dropped 3% from last season. So let's just think about last season, or not 3%, you know what I mean, 0.003. So Major League save percentage last season, 897. If we minus the average of 3 for this season, that's still at 894. So technically speaking, his save percentage was not, well, obviously it's an 892, so it wasn't as good as last season, but even adjusting for the average of the league dropping, it's a little worse. That was brought to my attention by a YouTube video. I really wish I could credit the guy. I just can't remember who exactly was off the top of my head. So his goals against average did go down. It peaked. It's worse. The worst goals against average was in 22-23 when he had a 4.23 goals against average. That is awful. Last year was a 3.45, and this season was a 3.18. So there is a little bit improvement there. He got 1 shutout this year. The most minutes, second most minutes he's ever played in a season. Quality start percentage 4.81. He had 25 quality starts. Unfortunately, so last season he was given, there's a stat here called really bad starts. That's literally what the stat's called. Last season he had 6. This season it's up to 14. And that's, I think, a very, I mentioned that with the Monsters earlier, kind of joking around like, oh yeah, it sounds like a Blue Jackets thing to do, to let in 3 goals in the first period and then not let them score like the rest of the game, just not being able to get up over the 3 goals. So I think that's kind of what's happening with that stat, is that they just get behind in the first period, and that's rough. So there's a couple stats, just throwing out those. He did improve in some areas in general. Did not really in some others, but at the end of the day, he's got more wins than losses, and it's a comparable season to the 2021-22 season when he had 59 games played, 56 starts, 27 wins, 23 losses, and 7 overtime / ties losses, whatever. So yeah, I think that he's worth a starting goalie yet. I don't really want to get into this discussion now because we're going to talk about this like throughout the summer a lot. But who's going to be the number 1 starting goalie for the Blue Jackets, next season? So, I agree. To see,
Yeah.
To improve this grade for next year, literally just get the goal average down some more, save percentage up a little bit, and have less really bad starts.
That's right. All right, on to the next player. We will now be talking about Dmitry Voronkov. What grade does Dmitry Voronkov get? I will tell you. Dmitry Voronkov gets an A. Why does Dmitry Voronkov get an A? Here's why. 23 goals, 24 assists, 47 points. He was a plus 17. Dmitry Voronkov played really good with Sean Monahan and Kirill Marchenko. So up on the screen, when you see 23, that's Sean Monahan, and 86 is Kirill Marchenko. That was just one of the best lines that the Blue Jackets had all season long. It is one of the best lines in hockey all season long. And from an analytics standpoint, it was the best line of hockey all season long. It was just that good. He was even getting attention from all the national media that were, writing articles about it, and I saw some videos about it from national media. They were that good. He was just so fun to watch, and he really stepped it up. Now, another reason why he gets an A, he led the Blue Jackets in power play goals with 8 power play goals. And and it's so easy to understand why, because Dmitry Voronkov is 6'5", 230. He is a big dude. And when you look at a lot of the goals that he scores, the Blue Jackets just park his ass right in front of the net, and he just scores goals there. Whether that,
his face.
yeah, whether that,
scared me.
whether that be of a deflection or it's a rebound goal right in front of the net, and he just jams it in. Going to show the goal that he scored in the Blue Jackets outdoor game to illustrate why he's a good power play guy, because the dude, he was just right in front of the net. Dmitry Voronkov was right in front of the net. And now we're going to show that goal. So here it is. So, right here. So, I'm going to turn off the sound. So, here we go. I'm going to pause. All right. Blue Jackets on the power play at the outdoor game, and Blue Jackets are going to win the faceoff, going to go to Werenenski, then he's going to work the puck. Eventually, Kent Johnson's going to get it. He's going to go right here, and Voronkov is just going to park his ass right in front of the net. And once he's there, and you're not stopping him, because that's how he scores the goal. Because 77 right here for Detroit, he's going to try and stop him, and he just can't, because you're not moving the dude that's 6'5", 230. If Dmitry Voronkov wants to be right in front of the net, guess what? Dmitry Voronkov is going to be right in front of the net. And that's what happens. He's right in front of the net. He shoots and scores. So this video right here is going to show a perfect example on why Dmitry Voronkov is good on the power play. And you can see why he led the Blue Jackets in power play goals. So there we go. Werenenski's going to get the puck. Marchenko to Werenenski, Kent Johnson, and look, there's Voronkov. He's already in front of the net, and he's going to turn his body, shoot, and score. And he's 77's going to try and stop it, but it's not happening. It's just not.
Like, I get that they're playing zone defense here, but like, dude, this is bad defense too by Detroit. Yeah. I don't know why they're letting him have that. There's 3 guys in the center. Yeah. His guy could just get between him and the goal a little bit more.
Yeah.
Whatever. Sorry, yeah. Roll the footage.
Yeah. And look, there's the puck right there. And it's too late, because he has the puck. It's too late, and it's going to be in the back of the net, because you're not going to, again, I said it before, I'm going to say it again. You're not going to stop a dude that's 6'5", 230 in front of the net. If he wants it, he's going to get it, and that's what happens. Boom.
Yeah. Like, I like the diamond formation for penalty kill. I really do. But, like, in this instance, it just wasn't working for him. There was 3 guys who were essentially on nobody.
Yeah.
And I love that both Voronkov was able to stay there and read that, and then Johnson was able to he's just there. He's obviously was just able to make a clean pass to him.
I mean, look at this.
Detroit absolutely blew. I mean, not to diminish like the fact that Dmitry Voronkov made a very good goal on a very hard pass, but like Detroit blew it too.
Look at this.
But there was a high stick. Oh,
right. But like, I know that high stick my ass.
The high stick lost it, not this, not them leaving him wide open.
Yeah. But look at this. Look at this. It's too late. By the time 77 for Detroit gets to him, It's too late. The puck's already in the net. Too late. Those are consequences for when you let a dude that's 6'5", 230 in front of the net and you don't play defense. And so, oh well, too late. Maybe next time.
It's already behind the goalie by the time the goalie's really even reacted.
Right. This oops. And we'll show it one more time. But look, oops. I'll back this up. But look at that. Look at that. It's too late. You're not stopping it. So that's just an example. That right there is an example on why Dmitry Voronkov is so good on the power play. Because he's able to use his 6'5", 230 to his advantage. He's able to park his ass in front of the net like that and get goals like that. Dmitry Voronkov has scored, goals different ways as well. He's had a couple snipes and some good shots, one-timers and stuff like that. He can do that, but a big reason why he's so good on the power play is that he's just a reliable guy that you can count on to put in front of the net, and he'll do what he did there, like at the Blue Jackets outdoor game, where he just gets goals right in front of the net, either that be a deflection or a rebound goal. So that's just a perfect example right there, showing why he's good on the power play and why Dmitry Voronkov led the Blue Jackets with power play goals with 8.
Yeah. And much like with Matthew Olivier, some people had kind of looked at Voronkov as kind of the big goon. I mean, once again, another player that very few people want to fight. His English is not super amazing, which in some ways makes him almost more scary, because if you're trying to explain what you did and why you did it, he might not understand you. It might not care and just might punch you in the jaw.
Yeah, right.
And he's a scary dude. He's a big guy. He's 24, going on 25, young guy. I think that the Blue Jackets have 3 of the scariest guys in the NHL with Voronkov, Olivier, and Goodbranson.
Yep.
I mean, I wouldn't want to drop gloves with like Corrali either, but like, still, those guys scary. Anyway, so let's go over a couple of stats that show why Dmitry Voronkov is getting an A. So in this season, he played 73 games. And in those 73 games, he is tied for 3rd in most goals on the team. The first 2 are Marchenko and Fantilli. They're tied at 31 apiece. Kent Johnson had 24. Zach Werenensky had 23. And Dmitry Voronkov also had 23. So in points, he is number 6 with 47 points. He got 24 assists this year, almost even on goals and assists. Probably the most in his career. I haven't looked. Plus minus of 17. It's one of the highest on the team. On that line that he was with, they was doing so good. Now he does have the second most penalty minutes on the team, but it's not by much. Matthew Olivier has 139 penalty minutes. Dmitry Voronkov 55. After that, Steverson's 47, Fabro 40, 35, 31. 30. So it's like it's pretty average for Voronkov. Maybe a couple more, just because honestly, I think sometimes he doesn't know his own strength. He'll just shove like someone gets a normal hit from him, but because he looks so big and they go down so hard, it's like, oh, that was a dirty hit. Like, no, he's just big. Like he's just a brick house. So
yeah.
Looking back at his last season was his first in the NHL. He played 75 games, 2 more games last season. He had 18 goals, 16 assists for 34 points, 13 less points than this season. He was plus minus of -6. So already we were seeing the makings of greatness last season. He was 23 years old. This season he was 24. Power play goals. He was 6 power play goals last year, but 8 this year. Only 1 game-winning goal this year. Many even strength assists. He had 12 more shots on goal in 2 less games, 154 shots on goal. Time on ice was more. Average time on ice was up by 3 minutes to 16 minutes, 47 seconds. Similar blocks, similar hits, 47 blocks, 71 hits, 11 takeaways. Unfortunately, 58 giveaways. That is probably one of the most on the team. A from me, great stats, great improvement. What could possibly make this an A plus? For me, it's trying to get maybe a couple more games in there. I understand injury, you can't help it.
Yeah.
He's only missing 9 games, but maybe 2 or 3 more games. I'm just being picky. I'm just being nitpicky because he did so good. I'm trying to pick at shit. Don't do as many, the giveaways. Maybe lower it down a little bit. Other than that, honestly, what could make it an A plus? Make the playoffs. I don't know, dude. That's it. That's literally it here. I mean, I don't have any complaints about Voronkov. Maybe there was a couple times where maybe he didn't do the smartest thing and did give it away the puck here and there. But I agree with you. Hey,
Yeah. I'm just gonna say I keep thinking about this, and we've ripped on Detroit fans many times on the show because it's a high stick. No, it wasn't, but putting it, refs didn't think it was a high stick. They thought Detroit player embellished it, put his head towards the stick trying to get a call. And then Justin Danforth's stick got lifted, and that's why it happened. And you ignore the fact that Justin Danforth got hooked. That's contributed to it, but put that off to the side. But here's another thing. You're tied up at 1 in the second period. And in 33 seconds, you're down 3-1. Whose fault is that? Detroit. It's not a high stick because your defense let you down. You're down 3-1 now because your defense is ass. Now, fast forward. It's the third period. You're down 3-2. Detroit's down 3-2. They have a chance to tie it up on the power play. Do they do it? Nope. It's still 3-2. Why does that matter? Because Detroit scores again to make it 3-3. And had you scored on that power play, it would be 4-3 Detroit. And now Justin Danforth scores the goal. It's 4-4. It's going into overtime, most likely. That means you still have a chance at winning it. But because you didn't score on that, it's still 3-3. And then your defense was ass again because you gave up 2 quick ones. You score Detroit, you score to tie it up at 3. And shortly after that, your defense is ass and gives up 2 goals to make it 5-3. You had 46 shots on goal. You only got 3. So whose fault is it? You. It's not a high stick. You didn't lose because of a high stick, even though it wasn't a high stick. You lose because your defense is ass. Your defense let you down.
You can't leave it to the refs and expect to win. It's like not swinging on the third strike. You can't leave it to the ump to give you that ball.
Right.
You gotta fight it off. You blew it. Sorry, I had to get a baseball analogy in it. There's your bingo card for the week.
Hey, man, we do baseball talk because Guardians and Reds, but
they're down 1-0 right now in the top of the 4th against the Phillies.
But no, I'm sorry. That's why you lose, Detroit. You lose that game because your defense is ass. It let you down. It's tied up at 1, and your defense gives up 2 quick goals to make it 3-1. You have a chance to score on the power play to make it 3-3. You don't. And then when you do make it 3-3, your defense is ass and lets you down again by giving up two goals to make it 5-3. And again, The Blue Jackets are good at 5-on-5. That's one of their strengths this season. They are one of the best 5-on-5 teams this season. 3 of the 5 goals that the Blue Jackets scored or even strength 5-on-5. You can't, and if you suck on 5-on-5, that you're going to lose. The Blue Jackets will expose that. Detroit, I remember going into that game reading stuff. Oh, their penalty kill isn't very good. And you fast forward to the game before that against Detroit in Detroit. Yeah, their penalty kill wasn't very good, and it gave up a goal against the Blue Jackets. And the Blue Jackets are good at home on the power play. What happened? They gave up a goal on the penalty kill. So I'm sorry. You can't. It's not. You didn't lose because of a high stick. That wasn't a high stick. Detroit, you lose because your defense let you. No, it's true. No, your defense let you down. Your defense let you down. You're up one, tied at 1. You give up 2 quick ones. It's 3-1 in 33 seconds. It's tied up at 3, and then you give up 2 quick ones to make it 5-3. There's over moments too, but that's why. Not because of a high stick. That wasn't a high stick. Sorry. You need to knock it off. This isn't the first time we've talked about this. I've talked about this many times on the show, but I keep still seeing comments pop up from Detroit fans about, oh, it was a high stick. And it's like, no. Did you watch the game? More likely than not, for some of these people, they didn't. Because if they did, they would understand why you lost that game. It wasn't because of a high stick. It wasn't a high stick. But that's besides the point. I've gone on a little heater here, a little rant, so we'll just move on to something else here,
No, we can probably start wrapping it up here before too long,
Anyway.
right? Oh, yeah, we got to talk about the draft lottery yet, too.
That's right. First, the Blue Jackets now know where their draft picks are. It's 14 and 20. So here it is. So I'm going to put it up, the picture that the Blue Jackets posted up on the screen. So the Blue Jackets will be picking 14 and 20. So right here, gotta put it up on the screen, and here we go. So going into the draft lottery, the Blue Jackets had the 13th pick. And like a draft lottery, it could have gone down, it could have gone up, or it could have stayed the same. It went down for the Blue Jackets as they got bumped down to pick number 14. And that is disappointing. I don't like that. And it is what it is.
That's ridiculous.
The chance of that happening was really low, but it happened. So is it, it's disappointing that the Blue Jackets go down a spot, but it's still okay because they have 2 draft picks. They have 14 and they have 20. 2 first-round draft picks. That's really good. There are many ways that you can go with this. You can either use both draft picks to get you some players, use one of the draft picks to get you something, use both of the draft picks to get you something. You have a lot of options. And this makes it, the Blue Jackets, let's say, a valuable team when it comes to the draft, because there will be teams looking at the Blue Jackets and they say, man, I really want that guy in the draft, but he's going to be gone by the time I pick. Hey, Blue Jackets, would you take this, and this for us to trade up? And the Blue Jackets may say no, they may say yes. Also, trades happen at the draft, not just draft picks. Guys move. It could be a contract here and there. Hey, Blue Jackets, we see that you got over $40 million in cap space here. What are your thoughts? Maybe we move this guy for this guy. And maybe the Blue Jackets say yes. Maybe they say no. but you have options. The Blue Jackets are going to be one of the popular teams at the draft because of their 2 first-round draft picks. There's so many options and so many ways that the Blue Jackets could play with this here. And it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. And what do they do? Do they trade one of the picks to get something? Do they trade both picks to get something? Or do they use both draft picks to get players? Next week's show, we're gonna really gonna start getting into like who could the Blue Jackets take. I've read some articles on who draft experts think the Blue Jackets could take with these picks. And we're going to talk about that next week. It's I've seen some people say the Blue Jackets think are going to take defensemen. I've seen some draft experts think that the Blue Jackets will take a forward. Next week, we're going to get really into the whole in-depth on who do they think they're going to take, like what players specifically. So
Yeah.
that'll be interesting to see. But for now, the Blue Jackets have pick 14 and 20 in the first round of the 2025 NHL draft, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes and what they do with it.
Yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe not as much as like last year. Obviously, we knew that the Jackets were going to get a really high pick. So, but still excited. I think the Blue Jackets might be in one of the best positions in the NHL to make some big moves. Don Waddell showed last summer he was already not afraid to make some big moves. Patrick Laine got moved. Sean Monahan got signed. So, I personally, after just 1 year, one small sample size, I have a lot of faith in Don Waddell to do the Blue Jackets well. I think this direction that they're heading is a positive one, so I'm looking forward to this. Now, with 2 first-round picks, the Blue Jackets also have the highest amount of cap space in the NHL by far. Those 2 things can absolutely be weaponized. Now, I think that they're missing a second-round pick, but we could very likely see one of those first-round picks being used to move up or to get just who knows, anything. There's a lot of options. I think the Blue Jackets are not at a want for options. So looking forward to it. Can't wait to see what Don Waddell decides to do. The draft is in June.
It's
right?
June.
Like right before the hockey awards.
Yeah. So, and another thing to consider here is that last year at the draft, there was reports going around that the Blue Jackets were interested in trading their first round draft pick. And the reason for that is Don Waddell said this after the draft, which is if Caden Lindstrom was not at the 4th, if was not there when the Blue Jackets picked 4th, they were trading that pick because that's all they wanted with that 4th overall pick was Caden Lindstrom. Now, obviously, that didn't happen because Caden Lindstrom is there. The Blue Jackets picked Caden Lindstrom with the number 4 pick. But if he wasn't there, they would have traded that pick for something else. And maybe they use that pick to get someone like a help now player. Maybe they use that to draft someone else. But we'll never know that because Caden Lindstrom was there at 4 and they picked 4. If he wasn't there, they would have traded that pick, which is why I see so many people being cringe and going, oh, but Demidov, but this guy, but that guy. And it's like, no, I'm sorry. You're being cringe. You're being stupid because you weren't paying attention. The Blue Jackets were never going to pick a dude not named Caden Lindstrom at 4. That's just how it was. Now, why do I bring that up? Because the Blue Jackets under Don Waddell, it was 1 draft, small sample size, but that is an example of the Blue Jackets showing that they are open to trading their first round draft picks if something happens. So that might happen again this year. Maybe, maybe not. But we don't know. But it's just going to be interesting to see how this goes. The Blue Jackets have pick 14 and pick number 20. And the 20th pick is from the trade they got in the David Jiricek trade from the Minnesota Wild. Now,
Yeah.
the pick from 20, that why they're picking 20 is because that was determined on how far the Wild went in the playoffs. The Wild got knocked out in 6 in the first round, and that's why it's like that. Had the Wild gone deeper in the playoffs, that pick would have been lower in the draft. But it's 20 because the Wild didn't go very far in the playoffs. So pick 14 and 20 for the Blue Jackets in the NHL draft this upcoming June.
Do it.
So, also going to bring this up because we said that originally the Blue Jackets had the 13th pick in the draft, and then it gets the lottery, it bumped them down to 14. Here's the overall odds for that particular pick. So the Blue Jackets had a 90.7% chance to stay at the 13th overall pick. They had a 4.2% chance to go up to 4th overall. The highest they could have gone was number 3. And then they had a 5.1% chance to get bumped down to 14th. And unfortunately for the Blue Jackets, that's exactly what happened. Is they got bumped down to the 14th pick.
That's crazy. They only had like 1% more difference between going 4th overall or 14th. 5%. Yeah. That's not very good odds. So I'm surprised. I mean, one spot could be a huge deal, or it could just not matter.
Right.
We'll see.
So, again, it is disappointing they got bumped down a spot, but it's still, still a good pick. You have 2 picks in the first round, 14 and 20, so that's pretty good, and it's just going to be interesting to see how it goes and what the Blue Jackets do with it and who they pick if they pick. Anyways, on to the next one. I'm going to call out a Michigan fan because why not? Because that's fun. Anyways, so this Michigan fan, there's Michigan owns Columbus. Derp, 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 derp. Well, hello there, Mr. Maize and Blue for life. I got some
Verified
news
a
for you.
Twitter account.
Yeah, verified Twitter account. I got some news for you, Mr. Maize and Blue for life. You're not telling the whole story. You're not telling the whole story because you know
why is that screenshot cropped?
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, I know. Screenshot crop, but that's not what I'm getting at. You are not telling the whole story because you know why? The Blue Jackets beat Michigan on Saturday, March 1st, 2025. The Blue Jackets beat Michigan 5-3. On March 1st, 2025, Michigan did not own Columbus. It was the Blue Jackets that owned Michigan 5-3 in the Blue Jackets outdoor game. So you are wrong. You are not telling the whole story. Michigan was owned by the Blue Jackets on March 1st, 2025.
A Columbus team chased a Michigan team out of the horseshoe.
That's right.
By winning by 2 goals.
Just saying. So you're not telling the whole story because the Blue Jackets owned Michigan on March 1st, 2025. Columbus owned Michigan. And that was the Blue Jackets. 5-3 at the Blue Jackets outdoor game. So Take that, Mr. Michigan fan. You're not telling the whole story. The Blue Jackets owned Columbus. You want to say Michigan owned Columbus? You're not telling the whole story because the Blue Jackets owned Michigan on March 1st, 2025 at the Blue Jackets outdoor game. So just throwing that one out there. Anyways, let's see here. My sound went crapped out again, so I can't play this video because I wanted to. But if you want to see it, check. If you wanna see it, then you should totally check out the Blue Jackets outdoor game with the Ohio State band playing there. You should totally check it out. You go to the YouTube page and check it out. So it's right here. Why did it crap out on the screen? I don't know, but it did. So here, right there, and so there it is right there. If you want to check it out, there's the Ohio State band doing Script Ohio before the Blue Jackets outdoor game. I would play it, but the sound crapped out on my computer, and if I play it, there's no sound. So we'll try next week. Maybe my sound on my computer won't crap out. Oh, well, but I thought this was cool. You should check that out. Script Ohio at the Blue Jackets outdoor game. That was fun. The Ohio and I was at the Blue Jackets outdoor game, and obviously one of the awesome moment, the Blue Jackets win, and one of the greatest sporting events of my life I've been to. And part of that was incorporating Ohio State theme in a good, tasteful way. It wasn't overdone. There was no, it wasn't overly done. I've seen that before where the Blue Jackets and Ohio State are in the same conversation and it's just too much Ohio State. And it's like, that's wrong. Sorry. But this one was not overdone. They did it perfectly. So that was cool. And it was great to see the Script Ohio at the Blue Jackets outdoor game in person. So that was cool. So check that out. So also, I've shared this a lot on our show, but you should check out the 21 Pilots performance at the Blue Jackets outdoor game. If you again, I'm not playing it because copyright reasons. So if you want to see it, go to YouTube and check out the 21 Pilots performance at the Blue Jackets outdoor game. So that was cool. I like that. So check that out. I think we got like 2 more things, and then I think that will be it for now. Let's see here. Oh, okay. We're going to put this up on the screen. So Nationwide Arena is getting some roof repairs. So getting a new roof. So Jason, who's been on our show from the Hockey News, he posted this on his Twitter page that the Blue Jackets are getting roof repairs. So next season, the Blue Jackets will have a new roof. So I thought that was cool, and I had to check that out. So there's one picture. And there's another one of the Blue Jackets getting a new roof. So that was cool. I didn't even know that the Blue Jackets were getting a new roof, but hey, learn learn something new. And it's good that they're doing it and not just waiting, where I've seen some of these other teams where it's like, they wait until like the roof collapses and then they fix it, which you shouldn't do that, but they do. But the Blue Jackets didn't do that. So that's cool. Anyways, we've talked about this on the show, but there's a cool picture that the Blue Jackets posted, which is the Blue Jackets, as we know this season, they were good at scoring goals. How good were they? Well, they set a new record for most goals in Blue Jackets history with 267 goals. Ridiculously good. So, shout out to the Blue Jackets for setting a new record for most goals in Blue Jackets history with 267. So that was pretty cool. Now, let's see here. Okay. I think that is all. Okay. Next show will be on Monday, May 19th. The next show will be on Monday, May 19th, 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So check that out. Next show will be on Monday, May 19th, 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We will be continuing our player reviews. We'll be picking 3 different players to talk about and how they did, and we'll give them our grades. So check that out. And also going to be talking about who draft experts might think that the Blue Jackets could pick with 14 and 20. So one last time, check out our new show. Check out the next show. It'll be Monday, May 19th, 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. As always, you should like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would be greatly appreciated. Please tell your family. Please tell your friends. Like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would be greatly appreciated. Like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. So check that out. Please like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please tell your family. Please tell your friends. Like, share, subscribe to the YouTube channel. So check that out.
Do it.
And like I always do, got to give a shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc. Good guy. Love talking hockey with you. And wish you're still here. You're not, unfortunately. And would like to hear from you why you think the Blackhawks season went the way it did. Your thoughts on that, and I would share my thoughts on how the Blue Jackets season went. And you like the Blackhawks, but the Blue Jackets became your second favorite team because of me, and I appreciate that. So thank you for that. And we gave you a Blue Jackets hat to wear from one of our Columbus trips, and you wore it to your cooking job that you had for years. And people love the hat because you would tell me, "Oh, what's that hat? It looks cool." And say, "Oh, it's a Blue Jackets hat. My nephew got it for me." Oh, that's cool. So love talking hockey with you, and love seeing you at family parties and family get-togethers, and Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter and Mother's Day, Father's Day, and whole family parties and a whole bunch of other stuff. So wish that you were still here so I could talk some hockey with you. But you know what? Shout out to you, my awesome Uncle Doc. thank you for everything.
Rest in peace, Uncle Doc.
All right. Now, you should totally check out Union Blue Soldiers and follow us on all social media platforms. You know us because we do cool stuff like marches and so much more. But before I get to that, I got to share this. So, my dad gave me a little surprise gift. Was not expecting this, but I appreciate this very much. Shout out to my dad for this. Thank you very much. But he got me a picture of Adam Fantilli from the Blue Jackets outdoor game, as well as game used ice from the Blue Jackets outdoor game. So that's pretty cool. So thank you for my dad for a little fun surprise gift. So thank you for that. You have anything to say about this, Hefty Duck?
No, that's pretty dope. That's really cool, actually.
So I have a piece of Blue Jackets history, a picture of Adam Fantilli from the Blue Jackets outdoor game, and game used ice from the Blue Jackets outdoor game. So shout out to my dad. Thank you very much for that. He got it for me because as a surprise gift, because my brother and his wife recently were in Italy and we had to take care of our nieces and their dog Cooper, who we featured on this show before. And Cooper's a good dog, but in many ways, he gets into some trouble, and we have to look after him to make sure that he doesn't do that. And he's a retriever, and he always likes to have something in his mouth. And sometimes there's stuff that shouldn't be in his mouth. And I was that guy that was always looking after Cooper to make sure that he didn't do anything stupid and did not get anything in his mouth that should have not been in his mouth. And that's the way I got this, because my dad's like, I appreciate everything you did to help out with, with the nieces and Cooper. So that's why I got it. Now, check out Uni Blue Soldiers. Follow us on all social media platforms. And you probably know us because we do cool stuff like, marches. So we're just going to play a little bit of this video of different marches that Union Blue Soldiers has had over the years. So, as you can see, just different marches. We have one from 2019, one from 2022, one from 2023, one from 2018, also another one from 2020. No, that one is from 2022, 2018, 2023, 2021. And, the Blue Jackets have participated in some of the marches with us. Stinger has been there, as you can see in the video. People from the Blue Jackets organization have been there. So next March is October 2025 for the Blue Jackets home opener. So you're going to have to check that out when we find out when the home opener is for the Blue Jackets. That's when the next Union Blue Soldiers March is going to be. So check that out. Follow Union Blue Soldiers on all social media platforms. So one last thing, check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Follow Union Blue Soldiers on all social media platforms. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. So that's all I have to say for now. And Hefty Duck will say his stuff, and then we'll get out of here. Oh boy, Hefty Duck's muted.
Fucking shit. That's a lot. All right. So once again, this has been I got some practice there, but I'm gonna mess it up now. Thank you once again for joining us for another Blue Jackets episode on this Sunday Mother's Day evening. We will be back here again next week. Once again, they'll be on Monday, as Kevin mentioned earlier. If you are in the Northeast Central Ohio area, and you want to do something cool next Sunday, come watch a disc golf tournament in Coshocton. The pros are gonna all be there on Saturday, but you can come watch us blow it on Sunday. Anyway, that's why it's gonna be on Monday next week. So thank you all once again. Yeah, come in and get a tattoo. I do work at a place called Shatterproof Tattoo in New Philadelphia, Ohio. I'm doing a pretty cool stinger tattoo on Tuesday. Look out for me posting that. I'm excited to do that one. It's gonna be pretty neat. It's gonna be a stinger / like EMT EMS tattoo. So yeah, hit it up. You can find all my socials on anywhere I have my socials as at Lance_Schrock, SCHROCK, on Twitter, X. Find me on Facebook, Lance Schrock, and do all the things on the buttons here as well. So we will see you here in 1 week from today. Everybody have a good week. Enjoy the sunshine, and we'll see you.